Okay, so this is a video for Year 7 Assessment Task 4 2024. So I'm hoping everybody can hear me. I'm just going to turn up the sound. So let's get right into this. So the first thing we're going to do are rules for negative numbers. So we should be able to fill this in. A positive multiplied by a positive is a positive. A positive multiplied by a negative is a negative. A negative multiplied by a positive is a negative. And a negative multiplied by a negative is a positive. So what you have to remember is if the signs are different, the value is always going to be a negative. Now see if you can fill in the table for division. So pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. Positive, negative, and the answer should be positive, negative, negative, positive. Because division and multiplication are inverse operations. So for example, 12 times 2 is 24. And we can also say that 24 divided by 2 is 12. The same is true for half multiplied by 8 is 4, and that's the same as doing 8 divided by 2, which is 4. Okay, so let's get down to this. If you can do these already, go ahead, pause the video, but I'm just going to do the first one. So if you're really stuck on these, I'd encourage you to draw a number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3, and then -4. Okay, so let's do 4 up here. So we start at we start at -3. And if we're at -3, we are going to go down 4 spaces, and we will arrive at -7. So we start at 4, and we go down 3, and we arrive at 1. So on number 3, I'm just going to explain this operation. So let's do negative to -3. Okay, let's do our number line. Okay, so where do we start? We start at -2. So we have done this section. Now, the up direction is positive and the down direction is negative. So we look down. So we've done this. Now we've got another negative, so we look up and we'd move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. So that is the same as doing -2 plus 3, which is 1. So you can think of negative as change. You can also consider, if we have 2 negatives like that, get a positive. And that's what we have here. Okay, so let's finish off doing these questions. You can pause the video if you're confident to do these, and then I'll do the answers. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. So we can rewrite this as +7. So we get 4. We can rewrite this as 3 to get 2. We can rewrite this as a negative to get -9. From the table, a negative multiplied by a positive is a negative. -2 plus 11 is 9. So let's have a look at the next section. Now you might be wondering why I haven't done subtraction. Well, subtraction is really the addition of a negative number. So pause the video and have a go at these. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. So we get 6. A negative times a negative is positive. -22. Hopefully you remember what squared means. It means -2 multiplied by -2. So we get 4. And then we've got cubed, which means multiplied by itself 3 times. So we've got -1 multiplied by -1, which is +1, multiplied by -1 again, so we get -1. Okay, so division, so pause the video and see if you can do these. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. I would encourage you to rewrite this just like that. So you've got negative divided by negative is +4. So rewriting our sum, we get -2. So hopefully you can do the cube. -2 multiplied by -2 multiplied by -2 is -8. -1 multiplied by -1 is +1, multiplied by another -1, and then another -1, and we're just going to get +1. There is a rule. If you have a negative to an odd number, you're going to get an odd. A negative, if you have a negative to an even number, you're going to get a positive. Okay, so pause the video and see if you can do question 14. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. I'm going to do 14 on a different sheet of paper. So we have -1 to the 4 multiplied by -2 cubed all over -3 cubed multiplied by -4 cubed. Okay, so using our rule, we've got a negative and we have an even power, so we're going to get a positive. And let's work out the magnitude. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1. Here we're going to get -8. Here we get -27. And here we get -64. Okay, so this is a little bit tricksy dixie. So positive 1 multiplied by 8 is negative 8. And we can do some cancelling here. A negative multiplied by a negative, definitely a positive. So we can just write 27 multiplied by 64. We can divide throughout by 8. So we now get negative 1 all over, let's shift this up, 27 multiplied by 8. So we're going to get a negative all over 27 multiplied by 8. Now, (27) multiplied by 8, 7 8s is 56, 2 8s is 16, plus 5 is 216. So we're left with negative 1 over 256. Okay, so that is negative numbers complete. Let's have a look at order of operations. Okay, so the order in which we do things are brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. So I would encourage you on each of these to write BIDMAS above. Okay, is there a bracket? So for brackets we need two things to be in them, like that. Now because there's just one number inside, it's not considered a bracket, so we do not have any brackets. We do not have any indices, we do not have any divisions, we do have a multiplication. So 1 multiplied by negative 3 is negative 3, negative 4 is negative 7. Okay, so pause the video and have a go at the rest of these. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. There's no brackets, there's no indice, there's no division. There is a multiplication. There is also a second multiplication here. So we've got negative 3 plus 7 multiplied by negative 6. So we've got negative 3 gives negative 45. Okay, it's running out of room here. So let's write brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. We don't consider that bracket. We do have an indice. Negative 2 to the power of 4 is 16 times 2 plus 1. We do have no division, we do have multiplication. 2 times 16 is 32, plus 1 is 33. BIDMAS. Brackets, no. Indices, no. Division, we do have a division, but we have expressions on top and bottom, so we need to do those first. Multiplication, yes. So we got negative 12 plus 1, 12 minus 1, addition, yes. So we got negative 11 all over 11, and then we finally do a division to get 1. Okay, for 5, let's write bit mass down. Brackets, no. Indices, yes. Negative 8 plus 2 multiplied by negative 1. Division, no. Multiplication, yes. Addition, no. Subtraction, yes. Brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Brackets, no. We do have an indice. That becomes 4. Division, yes. That becomes negative 3. Multiplication, yes. That becomes negative 6. And addition, yes. That becomes negative 5. Okay, brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Brackets, no. Indices, yes. We have 1 plus 4. Division, yes. We have 12 plus negative 2. Multiplication, no. Addition, yes. We have 5 over 10, and then that just gives us half. Okay, so the last and final one, bid mass. Brackets, no. Indices, yes. That gives negative 27 plus 1. Division, yes. We're running out of space. Multiplication, yes. Addition, yes. And then that gives us the horrible number of 19 all over 26. Okay, so the next revision topic is fractions and decimals. Now, if you can do these straight away, go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so let's just write down what each of these are. So this is out of, let's start with this one. That is out of 10. That is out of 100. And that is out of 1,000. That is a unit, and that is a 10. So we have tens, units, we got tenths, we got hundreds, we got thousandths. So we line them up. We've got 110, we've got 1 unit, 2, 3, 6. Okay, so we've done this. We need to add it to 107. That is a unit. That's 1 over 10. And that is 1 over 100. So let's do that then. And do an addition. And we can put 0 down, so we get 6. 3 plus 7 is 10. Carry the 1. 3, we line up the decimal points, 2, 1. Okay, so lots of people have problems with these. So we simply units, tenths, hundredths, tenths, hundredths. I would encourage everybody to write these as normal numbers. Just like that, and we'll deal with the decimal point after. 4 times 1 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, 1 times 4 is 4. Now we are multiplying a 10, so we need to shift the numbers over. 3 times 1 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, and then we add them up. We got 4, 8 plus 3 is 11, 6 plus 4 is 10, plus the 1 is 11, and then we got 4. So our final answer is 4114. We got 1 past the decimal place, 2 past the decimal places, 3, 4. So we need to jump 1, 2, 3, 4. So the final answer is 0.4114, and the decimal point doesn't really jump. The numbers either move to the right or the left, depending on whether you're multiplying or dividing, but that's an easier way to place the decimal point. Let's check on a calculator. 1.21 multiplied by 0.34, and we got that right. Okay, so pause the video and have a go doing these fractions. Okay, so there's 2 ways to do these fractions. We can do cross multiplication, or LCM. So pause the video and see if you can do both methods. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. We do crisscross. 5 plus 2 all over 10, which is 7 over 10. Using the LCM method, we have half plus a fifth. The lowest common multiple of 2 and 5 is 10, so we multiply by 2. We multiply by 5 to get 5 over 10 plus 2 over 10 is 7 over 10. Now let's imagine you can't find the lowest common multiple. You simply look at your times table. So you use your 2 times table, you use your 5 times table, and you choose the lowest number which both divide into or both the factors. Okay, so it's much easier here to do the lowest common multiple. We can only add or subtract fractions with the same denominator, and if you remember, the top is called the numerator and the bottom of the fraction is called the denominator. So see if you can decide what the lowest common multiple of 7 and 21 is. It is 21, so we need to multiply numerator and denominator by 3, so we get 6 over 21, subtract 1 over 21, which gives 5 over 21. Multiplication is reasonably straightforward. We can just multiply straight away. 2 3s is 6 over 20, and we need to simplify this by dividing by the highest common factor. So we need to divide by 2, divide by 2, and then we get 3 over 10. Now see if you can remember what these two fractions are called. What is the relation between them? pause the video and have a think. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. They're called equivalent fractions. So the final question is a little bit tricksy-dixy. These are called mixed numerals. And we need to convert the mixed numerals to improper fractions. So we do that by doing 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 2 times 7 is 14, plus the 1 is 15. And this is important. We multiply fractions by changing the sign, inverting the second fraction, which means turn upside down, and multiplying. So 4 7's 28, and 3 times 15 is 45. We have nothing in common there. Okay, so we're working our way through this quite nicely. Okay, so we're doing algebra next. So pause the video and see if you can have a go doing these. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. We simplify by collecting like terms. Now remember, the sign of a term is given on the left hand side. So let's add the x's, we get negative 3x. Let's add the y's, negative y. Okay, so number 2. So hopefully you will remember that squared means multiplied by itself twice. So a negative times a negative is a positive. 4y squared multiplied by 3y. 4 times 3 is 12, and we add the powers. 2 plus 1, power of 1, so we get 12y cubed. Okay, I recommend you to separate these out. Remember, x squared is x times x over x. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4 rather. And we can cancel by dividing by x's there. Divide by x we get 1. Divide by x we get another 1. So we just left with 4x. Okay, so a top tip for these is the first thing we should do is write it in parentheses. Parentheses is a posh word for a bracket. Pretend I didn't fill this in. Divided by squared. Now let's fill them in. We've got negative 1 and 3, which is negative 3. We have negative 1 multiplied by 3 divided by c. Negative 1 squared is 1 times 3 divided by 5, and we can leave our answer like this. Okay, so we have 3 times b, b is 9, b is 3 rather, so we've got the square root of 9 all over c is negative 5, 25, the square root of 9 is 3 all over 5. So square root is the inverse operation of square. So if we get 1, 2, 3, 4 and we square the numbers, we get 1, 4, 9, 16. So to go the other way, we must square root. So the square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3, and square root of 16 is 4. Okay, so our last set of questions. So here we must remember our inverse operations. Now these are operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So the inverse of those, the opposite, I'm going to say operation, the inverse is subtraction. If I give someone $100, the inverse operation takes us where we started. If you started with nothing, someone gives you $100, the inverse operation is to subtract $100. If you take $100 from them, the inverse of that is to give them $100. The inverse operation of multiplication is division, and then we have multiplication. Okay, so let's do the balancing method on these. So pause the video and see if you can get the right answers. Okay, so let's do that then. So we add 1 to both sides to get 1. We add 1 to both sides to get 3. And to solve these, we need positive 1x. We have negative x there, so we need to divide by negative 1 to get negative 3. We need positive 1x here, so we divide by 2 to get negative 4. We're continually doing our inverse operations. Subtract 3 from both sides. Negative x is equal to 1. Divide by negative 1 to get x is equal to negative 1. Our first inverse operation is to subtract negative 1. So we get negative 2x is equal to 10. Our second inverse operation is to divide by negative 2. So we get x is equal to negative 5. Our first inverse operation is to add 3 to both sides. Our second inverse operation is to divide by 4. And we can just leave it like that. Okay, so we use the distributive property to expand that bracket to get 2x plus 2 is equal to 1. Then our first inverse operation is to subtract 2, so we get 2x is equal to negative 1. Then we divide by 2 to get x is equal to negative half. Exactly the same here. We use the distributive property to expand the bracket, so we get negative 2x plus 8 is equal to 3. The first inverse operation is to subtract 8 from both sides to get negative 5. Divide by 2 and we get x is equal to 5 over 2. Okay, so pause the video and see if you can have a go on 9 to 12. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. Now the first inverse operation is to subtract 1 from both sides. The second inverse operation, because we have to divide by 2, is to multiply by 2. That goes, and we're just left with x. The first inverse operation is to divide by 5. So we get 1 over 5. Is to multiply by 5, not divide by 5. Because we have divide by 5, So the first inverse operation is to multiply by 5, so we get 5 negative 4x. The second inverse operation is to divide by negative 4, so we're left with negative 5 over 4. So we expand this bracket using the distributive property. 2x divided by 2. Subtract 2 is equal to 1. We add 2 to both sides to get 3. And 2 divided by 2 is just 1. Okay, our first inverse operation is to subtract 1 from both sides to get minus 7x over 3. Then we multiply by 3 both sides to get negative 7x is equal to 9. Then we divide by 7 to get x is equal to 9 over 7, which is a negative. Okay, so we've made a lot of progress. Let's finish doing a final question. Let's do a final 4 questions. So let's do 0.34 multiplied by 1.25. Question 2. Let's do 1.5 divided by 3.25. Question 3. Let's do if a is equal to negative 2 and b is equal to negative 5, evaluate a squared b all over a plus b. And then finally 4, let's do a Trixie Dixie question. Half 1 minus 4x is equal to negative 7. Okay, so pause the video and see if you can have a go at doing these. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. We are going to just multiply as normal. 1, 2, 5. 5 4s are 20. Sometimes helps to separate them off, just like this. 5 4s are 20. 3 5s are 15, plus 2 is 70. We now multiply in by a 10. 2 4s are 8. 2 3s are 6. Okay, now we are multiplying by 100, so we need to put 2 stars down. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And then we add. So we get 0. We get 15. We get 10, 11, 12. Then we get 4. So we have 4, 2, 5, 0. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is our answer. Let's check in the calculator. 0.34 times 1.25. 4.25. Okay, so hopefully you've done this. We write this mixed numeral as an improper fraction. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. We are dividing, so just going to leave that there. 3 4s are 12, plus 1 is 13. So this changes to multiply. We invert the second one. We can do some dividing. So we're left with 3 over 1, 2 over 13. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 13 is 13. Okay, so if you haven't done 3, have a go and pause the video. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is do our parentheses, which are posh words for brackets. Okay, let's fill it in. We've got -2, -5, -2, -5. So 2 2's are 4, and we still need to multiply by -5. We have -2 plus -5, which gives -7. So we've got 4 multiplied by -5 is -20. Over 7, -7. So we're left with 20 over 7. And it's fine to leave that as an improper fraction unless you're told in the question to give a mixed numeral. Okay, so I'm going to do this on another page. This is going to be our final question. Okay, so we've got question number 4. We've got a half multiplied by a bracket which has 1 plus 4x in, subtract 7. So we distribute, that means we multiply using the distributive law. So we've got half times 1 is half. We've got half multiplied by 4 is 2. So we do our next inverse operation, which is to subtract half from both sides. So we're now left with -2x is equal to -6.5. We now need to divide by 2 both sides. Divide by 2. So that just gives 1. And we're left with -6.5 divided by -2. So let's do that here. So I would encourage you to write -6.5 as an improper fraction. So we get 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Don't forget it's a negative. And we are dividing by -2. So we can rewrite that as -13 over 2 times, we invert this because it's over 1. And it's negative. Negative times a negative is a positive, so we get 13 over 4. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Good luck revising. And it's a really good piece of advice to do the practice paper, to look at the notification and to have a go at doing some of the chapter reviews, and most importantly check your answers with the answers given at the back of the book and do some assessment for learning. Okay, good luck.